Hi guys, and welcome to the first of hopefully many #AskTomDaley videos. So I asked you on Twitter to fire me some questions and I'm going to answer the best ones, well, the ones that I think are the best anyway. So the first question is from Chantel, which is ShanWhite98. She says, what's your favourite pool in the world? And I've got to say, my favourite pool in the world is Barcelona. It's one of the most amazing pools. It's set right up on the hills and you can see all over the city. And actually, here's a photo of me diving right there and another one there. So, you know, it's a pretty cool pool and makes some awesome photos. The next question is from Meg and it is at CreepCliffXRD. Quite a hard to say Twitter name. But anyway, the question is, what's your favourite thing about being a diver? Elephant emoji. I've got to say, my favourite thing about being a diver is the fact that you get to see so many different places. The World Series circuit takes you everywhere from Canada, Mexico, London, Russia, China, Dubai, we go all over travelling to get to see some amazing places. Mainly we get to see the hotel and the diving pool, but it is quite fun being that. But the worst thing about being a diver, without a doubt, is having to get wet every day. The next one is from Alien, at Saddest Alien. Some random Twitter handles we got going on here. Anyway, their question is, have you ever ridden a camel? The answer to that is yes, I have ridden a camel. Last year, I went travelling the world with my best friend Sophie and we went over to Morocco and we got to ride some camels in the Sahara Desert, which was awesome. Here's some photos of me riding a camel with Sophie and also another one over here. I mean, it's quite cool. In the sunset, it was an awesome experience, but they have two knees. So when you go down, it feels like you're gonna fall off completely. But other than that, it was pretty fun. Now I've got a question from Paula Pier. Twitter name is at It's Paula Pier. And she says, what's your training routine? And my training routine is pretty varied, but normally what I do is I get up and I start training at 8:30. I'll do an hour and a half in the gym. That'll involve weights or stairs or cardio or gymnastics, trampolining, all that kind of stuff. And then I do an hour in the pool. And then I go and have lunch and, you know, have a break, maybe a salad, something light so you don't throw it back up when you're in your second training session. And then at 1:30 I get back to the pool and I do an hour or so in the gym and then another hour in the pool. So roughly I do between 4 and 5 hours a day. So it's pretty intense, but it kind of has to be if you want to try and win medals. Next one is from at Hutch92_ and they've asked, do you keep a healthy diet? And yes, I do have to keep a healthy diet because I have to make sure I don't put on weight. I have to make sure that I have enough energy to train. So for me, on an average day, I'd wake up and I'd have, say, 3 egg whites and some spinach or something along those lines, maybe some fruit for some carbohydrates in the morning. Then I go to train, and then right after that I have to have recovery within 20 minutes of training. So whether that's a protein shake, a couple of boiled eggs, or a yogurt or something like that. And then I would have my lunch about an hour and 2 hours after, which would involve like a salad, a chicken salad, something like that. Then I go back to training and then have another recovery snack right after that. And then a few hours later, I then have my dinner, which normally just involves a large amount of protein and then some veg. So it's kind of quite a low carb diet. I only have carbs after my training sessions for recovery, so it has to be pretty strict really, but you know, everyone has to have a cheat day. I now have a question from the lovely at Sparkly Jane. So hi Sparkly Jane, I get lots of your tweets and just wanted to say hi. Anyway, she asked, what is your favourite food in America? And I've got to say, my favourite thing about the American food is the fact that they are massive portions. And also you get free refills on your drinks, which is incredible. Like, you know, why don't we have that here in the UK? But to be honest, favourite food there, in Texas, I love the Tex-Mex food. So queso, like this cheese dip that you have like when you go to any Mexican restaurant. Oh, it was just incredible. But then I just kind of love the different styles and diverse food that they have all over America. But you definitely do get the biggest, juiciest burgers over there. The next question is from JD, or at JD Bop, and she has asked, how do you overcome mental blocks in diving? And I think mental blocks are something that happens to lots of people in lots of different sports. Lost move syndrome is a similar thing because your body has such a way of muscle memory. If you repeat something over and over again, you just do it naturally without even thinking. But then sometimes you can think too much. And for me, I've had experience with that and have had mental blocks within diving. And the main thing that you've got to do to try and overcome it is just try and suppress the feeling. You know that every time you get anxious and every time you get scared of something, it's all these little voices in your head saying, oh, you know, and you start becoming hyper vigilant and hyper aware of everything around you. You just have to try your hardest to shut it out and know that your body has done it so many times and it will just do it naturally. But it is hard to tell yourself to do that, especially when you're stood 10 meters above the water and knowing it's going to hurt if it goes wrong. But you know, it's one of those things that comes with the territory, I guess. At Alicia_Jordan13 has asked me, what would your words of wisdom be to young athletes? And for me, it's attention to detail. If you work hard on all the little fine points when you're younger and making sure that you work on all the form or the way that you do things, when you get older, it's going to be a lot easier to maintain that because sometimes you can pick up bad habits and it's really hard to get rid of them once you're older. So for me, attention to detail. Also, if you work hard, success will follow. Melanie, or at Asian Gryer, has asked me what my favourite TV show is. And I go through stages with TV shows. I kind of binge watch stuff on Netflix so that I've watched all of the Dexters, I've watched Scandal, Homeland. I really enjoyed, what other ones have I watched? True Detective was really good. What other one have I been watching? Breaking Bad. What other ones have I been watching? Fargo, that was another really cool one. So yeah, I kind of go through stages of my TV shows, but you can kind of guess my genre from that. It's kind of like, I like the thriller stuff. And like when it comes to favourite movies and stuff, I love the scary ones. So that's kind of my kind of genre. I like to constantly have adrenaline going. I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie, if you didn't already know. So for me, something with adrenaline in it is always good. At Amy_Jermaine has asked me, when you're on top of the platform, what goes through your head? So when you sit on top of the platform, it's kind of quite a lonely place because you're just there on your own, there's no one around you, and you just have to stand there and focus on each individual point of the dive. You have to think about the arm swing, you have to think about reaching, making sure your legs are straight, your toes are pointed, you get as big a jump as possible, you form through the air. There's so many different fine points that you have to think about. So for me, it's just about making sure you concentrate on them individually and not get ahead of yourself. You have to be in the moment. But it's kind of a scary thing when you're on 10 meter because the height of 2 double-decker buses and half a car all piled on top of each other. So, and you hit the water at 35 miles an hour. So if you go wrong, it's gonna hurt. I'd just like to say a massive thank you to everyone for sending in all of their amazing questions. I'll be hoping to do one of these videos as often as I can, hopefully once a month, or maybe if not more frequently if this one goes down well. So anyway, let me know what you thought of the video, subscribe, like, and all that kind of stuff. And until next time, that was #us Tom Daley.